Lots of raccoon poo, and then also lots of treasures.
Who's to say? Who's to say what is and isn't treasure?
Art, horse, art, horse, art, horse, art, too cheap to buy jingles. Art, horse, art, horse, art, too cheap to buy jingles. Hey, so this is it.
Okay. Whew. What's our intro again? Hi, you're listening to Art Horse.
Yeah. A silly and serious podcast about creativity and stepping out of your comfort zone. But we don't have to say the whole thing, do we?
Right. No, we certainly don't.
Say,
this is an episode.
This is an episode.
Right.
I'm Fiona.
I'm Jess. And buckle up.
Perfect.
Okay. Oh, so one other thing that we wanted to mention was that we have an Instagram for Art Horse.
At Art Horse Pod.
Which has all of the pictures of things that we're going to talk about. Or I don't know. It's going to have pictures of things that it's weird to talk about it because it's in the future, but to you it's now. So...
Time is weird.
If, as me being in the future, it has all of the pictures of all of the things that we're going to be talking about. So... You can go there to follow along.
Go check it out.
Yeah.
If you are a person who likes sparkly beaded earrings, do go to our Instagram, because in the next couple of, days, weeks, I will be posting some earrings that I would like to send to whoever wants them. So go check that out if you like earrings. Because I have made far too many. I am overflowing. I am abundant.
Cool.
Okay, beach.
Okay. So how's it going?
Well, before we started recording, I was just complaining pretty heavily about this 24-hour blood pressure cuff on my arm. It's squeezing the living daylights out of me every 20 to 30 minutes. So I'm not in a bad mood, but I'm not in a good mood.
And every 30 minutes you have to shut the fuck up for 2 minutes or whatever.
Every 30 minutes I have to
seconds.
Flash mob freeze.
Right, otherwise you get it twice.
Otherwise I get it squeezed again and then squeezed again, and it's just not my idea of a good time, but
no.
You know what? I think I'm going to survive. Yeah. Oh yeah, and the machine has a little countdown on it, so let's see. All right, 26 minutes I'm going to be... I have 26 minutes until I get the cuff again. But yeah.
That's kind of better than being surprised.
Yeah, but I always forget. And so I tried to have a nap this afternoon, and it was obviously horrible. It was just intense pain in my arm every half hour, waking me up. It's kind of...
It's going to be a long night.
I know. I asked the doctor, I was like, is it going to do this all night? She was like, yes, once an hour, the whole night. So, yeah. Tomorrow's going to be zoppity. How about you? You had kind of a week, eh?
Yeah, I feel like it was a lot of up and down, family stuff. And also, we went to the neighbors for dinner one night, so that was kind of a wine wash.
We've lost that time.
Yeah, it's just I'm like that, and then the next 2 days just gone. Yeah.
Do you find that your hangovers are worse now that you're on the wrong side of 25?
Well, I don't know. I don't get super hungover. It's just a little bit. And so it's just kind of the rest of it. I'm not at peak performance, but most of the time I'm not at peak performance. That's my life. I live my life. Yeah.
There's no peak.
That's the thing. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so I guess I've just been kind of dealing with emotional fallout in a sense, and not being super creative, but I did one thing. I did a couple of things. I forget what I put on the list. I feel like sometimes we follow up from last week, but I don't think I didn't have any plans, so I don't think I had any follow up. Yeah,
your plan was to just take it as it comes again, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it didn't really come. Nothing came.
Exactly.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
That's totally fine.
I think it was good. Not good, but I don't know. I'm having some real, pandemic dip. I'm having to, I guess, I don't know. It's not really stuff that I would talk about that I have on the list for talking about later, but kind of this feeling of being stuck in a sense, or it kind of feels like when I lived in that apartment and I was waiting for permission to leave the apartment. when like everybody else is doing whatever they want and I feel jealous. Like,
yeah,
I feel, I don't know if it's like FOMO, but I think it's just Mo. Like, I think I'm just, I think I'm just missing out. Like, I'm in the middle of nowhere kind of, and I haven't really left the house in 4 months, basically at all, probably 4 times, literally, in the last 4 months. Because there's not, like, everything we need is here, and that's a certain blessing, but I'm hearing from my friends in Montreal, and they're like, oh yeah, like, we're going out to the park, and we're having, like, tap jams, which is, like, my favorite thing, which I couldn't get anybody to do with me when I was there, and now everyone is doing it without me, and I feel really sort of sad about that. And then my mom left on vacation again, so she's doing what she wants, and, like, I feel stuck. I just feel stuck, and I don't really know how to process it.
Speaking of missing out, I saw a tweet. Oh my god, I'm on Twitter.
Uh-huh. Are you ever?
Yeah. Did you see my latest tweet?
No, I haven't.
I think it's pretty good.
The last one I saw was, wow. It was...
Oh girl, I've been tweeting so much since then. You should go check up on my on my perfectly crafted tweets. But I saw a tweet and somebody basically said, like, you know, considering the pandemic and everything, we're basically all losing months and months of our lives to this. Her tweet was something like, you know, I'm missing, like, potentially going to miss up to a year to 2 years of my 20s inside, and like how frustrating that is. And I feel like I'm feeling that as well, like this feeling of I'm missing out on like a real life. And it's weird because like we're all missing out to some extent on like what a life that is as full as it could be, you know?
Like the life that we expected to be able to have. Yeah.
I was just thinking about how I haven't seen my partner since January. It's
like 7 months.
It's 7 months that I haven't seen him. And I don't know when I'm going to see him again. And it's like, it could be, and I don't expect to see him before like winter. So it could be a whole year of my life that I just don't get the benefit of my relationship.
Right.
Or I get, you know, like 10% relationship through texting and FaceTime. And like, it sucks. It's totally missing out.
And I think especially because you were just expecting to be able to go there. Like you're finishing this like therapy program and you finished school, like all of this stuff that you were waiting to be finished is finished. And now, you know.
Yeah. I was supposed to go in May. So I totally feel you on that. Like, it's like long-term missing out and it feels shitty.
Yeah. I think this is the first time that I've ever experienced this type of loss or this type of like on such a big scale. Because I think like people who were born before us, like my grandmother, would have missed out on, I don't know, like anybody who was alive during the war, you know, or like other kinds of things. Like you see people who are like 100 years old and they survived the you know, Spanish flu or whatever.
Or like people now whose partners are in the military or something and they go away. They also basically have this like 10% relationship that they're just like separated and they miss out on.
Totally.
Yeah, same sort of thing.
In this big moment where relationships are so important and like kind of keeping us alive in a way, like keeping, you know, I feel like I used to socialize more. I mean, everybody used to socialize more, but like I feel like I used to get more sort of, I don't know, I miss that, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. And it's been like what? March, April, May, June, July.
Yeah.
4 months of this.
And I feel like it's kind of funny because up until like my life is basically a vacation. So I'm like, okay, like I'm ready to be done now. And everyone else has been like suffering from, you know, day one. Like there's people like spending their last dollar and businesses closing, like all of this stuff. And I'm so there's kind of a privilege aspect a little bit, but it's,
and then the guilt that comes along with with that.
Totally.
It's like a nice little cherry on top. It's like, you know what? Like I have a safe home. Nobody that I love has been seriously suffering from this, and yet I feel like absolute dog shit.
Yeah, and I think, oh man, there was an episode of Brené Brown's podcast. I think it's called Untangling Us. and it was about comparative suffering, and it was a little gem of wisdom that was like, don't do that, but I can't remember why.
Yeah, so. I know. You're not supposed to do that because and I don't know why. I remember hearing, it was like, okay, I can't remember the quote, so I'm just going to cut this out. But yeah, we're not supposed to do that.
I can't remember why. I can only remember that I shouldn't, because it doesn't sound very helpful.
Well, yeah. Yeah. But if Brene says don't do it, then she probably has a good reason. Yeah. I trust her. Oof. I guess what I just always try to think of, like, what would my therapist say? And she would say, try to find some compassion for yourself. She says that to me all the time. And I'm like, yes, Carrie, I know.
I know.
I know. You just don't want to.
Yeah, exactly. Did you bead this week?
Okay, so I did not.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. So I did, like, maybe on the weekend after we recorded, and then my mom and I went up to my aunt's house for the rest of the week, and I had kind of like gone a little bit too ham with the beading. Like
your body was in shambles.
My body was breaking down, and my eyes actually were going a little bit blurry from like focusing so intensely, like close up on really tiny things. So I left my beads at home, and I took with me a sketchbook and a pen, and I took with me The Art of Asking by Amanda Palmer. So I didn't do any painting. Like, I had planned last week I was going to try and fix those 2 paintings that I was, like, sort of halfway done. Didn't do it.
Okay.
But
didn't present itself?
No, I didn't want to bring, like, 3 bags of stuff to Almont. I wanted to bring 1 bag of stuff. So I was just like, you know what? This is just going to be a simple week. It's just going to be reading and sketching. So I didn't finish those works in progress. But you know what? Like I just said, Carrie would say, have some compassion for yourself. Just because you, like, set some arbitrary schedule because of the podcast doesn't mean that you have to actually, anyway.
Totally. I mean, you should just do what you want.
Exactly. Yeah. So I did not do those things. So yeah, not much to follow up on. Do we want to talk about our big stuff?
Yeah.
You go first.
So what did I say that I had?
You said I made something small.
Oh my god, okay. You're gonna shit.
I'm ready to shit. Send me something.
Okay, I am sending you
Oh my god, thank you for liking all my tweets.
Anytime. Okay, I'm sending it.
Oh my god. Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Jess, I got your picture. I love it. I want to make one. Is it just yarn?
It is embroidery thread. It is the tiniest thing. Like, it is less than 2 inches tall.
Okay, so what is this? Tell me what this is.
Okay,
I love it, but what is it?
It is, so I sent you a picture of the front and the back, and it is a tiny little, it's a wall hanging.
So small.
It is so small. So you sent me a link to this tapestry making textiles genius.
Yeah.
So her name is Judith Just. I don't remember why I stopped. I think because I was just
your heart died
jealous.
Or something. Yeah, you're jealous.
Yeah.
Oh.
Anyway, so it was really cool to see her work again. And then I was like, wait a second. Like, well, it's kind of like, okay, I haven't done anything this week. I've basically just laid around. I haven't been creative this week, and I need to have something to say on the podcast. So what if I try to make one of those? Like, I know that there's some cross-stitch stuff laying around somewhere, so I rummaged through everything. Like, I went through all of my mom's sewing stuff and, like, all of my old craft stuff, and I, like, found a half-made cross-stitch thing, and I ripped it all out, and I was like, because this is never going to get made, I'm ready to do this now. And so I had ripped it all out, and I had this little tiny square sort of plastic. It's basically woven and it has holes in it, kind of, that where you would be able to sew.
Yeah, it's like a netting almost. What is that called?
I have no idea.
I also have no idea.
But this is what it looked like.
It's so cute.
So I started with this kind of bigger thing. It was like 3 by 3 inches, and then I started. So I looked up. I was like, "How do you do that?" Basically, like, what is that? I don't know what it's called.
Yeah.
So I looked up weaving, and it's not weaving. And then I looked up, like, how to make a shaggy rug, because I was like, that seems like it's the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I looked it up, and it's called latch hooking, because you have this basically, like, crochet hook that has a little flappy latch thing, and then you cut all of your little yarn pieces into, like, I don't know, however long twice as long as you want your shag rug, basically.
Right.
And you stick the thing through, and then you pull it out, and the latch serves a very important purpose. And so I'm sitting here, and I've already ripped out all the stuff. I've collected all the embroidery thread, and I've got, like, a needle, and I'm looking at this latch hook thing going, damn it! And I was, like, so disappointed, because, like, what do I do now? Like, am I gonna try to make a crochet hook that fits in a hole that's like a millimeter by a millimeter high? Like, what am I supposed to do? And so I decided to just try to replicate that effect with just a needle and thread, which looked like sewing through kind of twice to make a loop and then tucking it through and pulling it. Basically, like, doing the same exact thing, but with a needle.
Like a little knot at the base? Okay.
Exactly. And
it looks right.
Yeah, it looks exactly like it should have looked with a latch hook, but I did it without a latch hook, and it took a really long time. And I had a lot of, like, feelings, like capital F.
Oh.
Feelings, because I'm, like, working on this thing, and it's so small. It's, like, small enough to be ridiculous.
Yeah. That's what I feel like with the beads. Like, you are so small, beads.
Yeah.
They're so small.
So small. But I'm just gonna send you a picture of what it looks like before I clipped it.
Okay.
And it looked like this, like, shaggy thing. Shaggy, colorful.
Oh, he's cute.
Yeah.
You know what it's like?
What?
It's like a wall hanging for Pancake.
That he would put in his little cage and you'd eat.
Yeah, he would totally eat it.
Yeah. So I think a lot of my feelings were like, this is so small that, like, no one else is gonna think this is worthwhile doing. And so I just felt like that shrinking feeling of, like, anytime anyone else was in the room that would ask me what I'm doing, or, like, you know, that they would tell me that I should be doing something else. And it was, like, a really uncomfortable pressure.
Wait, were they saying, actually, you should be doing something else? Or you were just, like...
I just knew that's what they would say. I was...
mind reading incorrectly.
I don't think it was incorrect. Like, I think based on a lifetime of experience, that's exactly... Yeah. Like, I'm able to predict that. And I think, you know, I'm inside and it's sunny outside and I should be doing something that is outside and I shouldn't be doing this. And, like, for the first probably, like, hour, I did it without, like, listening to anything. Usually I listen to, like, podcasts and stuff.
Yeah.
But, like, I did it without listening to anything, and it was, like, unbearable. Like, I was just, like, because I'm just thinking, and I'm like, I don't want to think my own thinks, you know?
Yeah.
Right? Ever?
I never want to think my own things.
Yeah. And
that's why there's podcasts.
Yeah, totally. Like, this is why you know, and, like, stuff comes up that I don't want to listen to when I'm not listening to anything. Which reminds me of, like, I talked to Sarah, my friend who is writing a book and also doing The Artist's Way.
Yeah.
And I think she's on week 5 or week 4 or something. And she's like, this is, like, no reading week. Whatever. It's like...
Yeah. I didn't do that. Which, the task, by the way, is just to take a week without reading anything. And it includes things like watching TV. Basically filling your mind with other people's chatter.
So I did it, but I wasn't really reading anything, so I just didn't scroll Instagram. But she was like, how did you guys get by this? Like, this is ridiculous. It's, like, so difficult to hear your own thoughts all the time. And she, like, especially if you have a habit of reading, like, reading before you go to bed or, like...
Yeah.
I think even you can't listen to podcasts.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
You have to think your own thoughts.
I mean, yeah.
Terrifying.
And it's really
which is why I didn't do it.
But I think she's finding it interesting. I don't want to say interesting, but not productive either. But
yeah. Julia says that the tasks that you have the most resistance to are the ones that you should do. And I resisted that so hard that I didn't even do it. So probably at some point I should do that. Just didn't do it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a hard one.
Yeah.
So it was really hard to think real thoughts while that was happening, so I just shut them out.
Yeah.
Shut it down!
Clamp it down. So did you eventually start listening to something?
Yes, I did. And it's like for the rest of it was like the first few rows or something, like the first hour that I didn't, and then I did.
When I was beating, I watched the entirety of The Haunting of Hill House on Netflix. Just like 10 hour-long episodes. It was so good. It was a great time.
Can't do nothing. No.
Should probably try doing nothing.
It's hard.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that came up for me, like this feeling like this isn't a worthwhile thing, and then like why don't I feel like this is worthwhile? I've never been allowed to. It's a whole thing. It has more to do with Amanda Palmer than anything. So
what does it have to do with Amanda Palmer?
So you sent me a few weeks ago, it was like a IGTV, I don't know, some sort of post from Amanda Palmer where she's like hammering away on this piano and like singing, and it's just so, I don't want to say pure, but it's like so expressive. Yeah. And it's just like coming out of her, you know? There's no like...
It's total inhibition.
Yeah, totally. It's like unrestrained expression, I guess.
Yes, exactly.
So that has been sort of sitting in my mind, and then I was going through when I was looking for cross-stitch stuff, I like was opening all my drawers and I found old like love letters from like when I was a teenager. And I read one of them, and they were to me, they weren't from me. Oh. And it wasn't so much, I guess that it's of the topic of love. It wasn't like an I love you so much letter. It was like they said, I want to be more. Like, it was somebody who I was maybe dissatisfied with at the time. In terms of, like, I was looking to the future, and I was thinking probably, I don't know, like, what I wanted in a partner. And how, because at that time I think I believed that I could only be with one person in my whole life. I was kind of thinking, like, how do I get that out of this one person who isn't maybe right for me, or what, you know what I mean? And I remember it being really hard, and it got me thinking about how the people around me, not my friends, but like my family and my teachers, because those were the adults in my life at the time, they did not empower me to believe my feelings. Like, I remember getting called to the principal's office once and over like some sort of PDA scandal, and it was like a whole thing. But like the principal said, like, you know, you're not going to be with this person forever, and you're going to look back and this is going to have like, you know, ruined your life or whatever. Like, that's basically what he was saying. He was saying to me. Yeah, totally. And it was like all of this stuff that made me, this is a really difficult thing that I haven't ever put into words, but I think I'm realizing, you know, like when you're a teenager and you're like, I'm so in love, and they're like, you don't know what love is. Yeah. But so if that's true, like, I'm just thinking about all of the music that I loved at 15. So circa 2004, Green Day, Boulevard of Broken Dreams came out. I can't remember if that's what the album was, but then I looked up and like, that album resonated with me, and all the songs around that time resonated with me as a teenager. And how old was the lead singer of Green Day when that album came out? He was like an adult. 30. Yeah, he was totally 30, and like I understood what he was saying, you know? Like, I understood all of these songs so deeply. I definitely did. And as an adult now, because I kind of think like, okay, well, I guess like adults know best and I don't know it all. Yeah. Like, I don't know what I'm feeling. I can't, you know? But now, like, looking back as an adult, like, I read those letters and I'm like, yeah, dude, I've experienced that as an adult. Like, I've experienced that being with someone who isn't the right fit or isn't, you know, doing it for you. Yeah. I've experienced that as an adult, and it's real. Like, that's a real thing that I was feeling, and everyone around me told me it wasn't real, and how frustrating it is that that's true. And I think, like, or I guess, like, how frustrating it is that that happened. And that, like, stifling of your thoughts and feelings, a dismissal of your thoughts and feelings.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I was going to say he dismissed your, like, reality. Your reality, your experience of your own life. Yeah. That's very frustrating to hear as well. to have an adult say, like, you don't know what you feel.
Totally. And that's a kind of a funny thing, because, like, whatever it was that I was doing, I probably shouldn't have been doing it at school. But... yeah,
but, like, you know? That's all he could have said. He could have just said, you know what? Don't do those things at school.
Yeah.
He didn't have to say, you think you're in love, but you don't know what love is. Like, he doesn't have to do that.
It was, you know what literally my life was like? You don't know what love is. You just do what you're told. Like that goddamn song that was popular around that time. I really took it too hard. Mm-hmm. But, like, I don't know, like, it's made me think my whole life that nothing that I did was real, and I kind of really, I don't know. Yeah. It's, like, it made me not believe anything.
Okay, so that makes me think of the fraud police.
The fraud police?
Yeah, in The Art of Asking.
Remind me.
Okay, let me find it. Oh, I just opened up perfectly to the page.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Okay, so here's what she says. I've had a problem feeling real all my life. I didn't know until recently how absolutely universal that feeling is. For a long time, I thought I was alone. Psychologists have a term for it, imposter syndrome, blah, 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 blah. I coined my own phrase, the fraud police. The fraud police are the imaginary, terrifying force of real, quote-unquote, real grown-ups who you believe, at some subconscious level, are going to come knocking on your door in the middle of the night saying, we've been watching you and we have evidence that you have no idea what you're doing. You stand accused of the crime of completely winging it. You are guilty of making shit up as you go along. You do not actually deserve your job. We are taking everything away and we're telling everybody. That reminds me of that. And, like, this has to do with career stuff, but yours has to do with, like, trusting your own feelings. But it's the same sort of thing where it's like, there's always been somebody, not superior to you. What's the word? Always been somebody in a position of power over you. Mm-hmm. Telling you that you don't know what you're talking about.
Totally.
Yeah.
And you don't know what you know, everything.
And we internalize that, and then we're like, I still don't feel like a grown-up. And I'm 31. Like, I should be allowed to feel by now that I have some sort of grasp on what I'm doing. But I still always have those doubts about, like, the same sort of things as you. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like it makes it really difficult to, like, make decisions, you know, later in life, because you're like, someone's gonna come and make this decision for me because...
Yeah, and that's why I'm trying to move away from, like, asking my mom what I should do about big things in my life, because I have a habit of not trusting my own decisions, and I'm like, okay, well, if mom thinks it's a good idea, then it's probably fine, which is silly.
Yeah, totally.
But it's like a reflex that is built in. Yeah, no, I feel you, dog.
And I just kind of feel, so we're talking about, like, that sense of loss in the pandemic sense. Mm-hmm. And I just feel sort of robbed of, you know, I mean, this is probably, like, why me again, of course, but, like, I do feel robbed of this thing that was, like, of expression. Like, imagine the songs I would have written if I'd been encouraged to believe that what I was feeling was real. And, like, or imagine the life I would have if I, like... Yeah, you know, trusted myself to.
Those are tricky.
Those are big shitty questions that
big shitty questions, and they're tricky little spirals to go down. And I've been trying not to go down those spirals too. And you know, the only thing we can do is have that life now. You know, we can't go back.
Totally.
And it's kind of like the 5 lives thing from earlier on that we were talking about, where it's like, you know what, we didn't have the opportunity maybe to express ourselves like we wanted to when we were younger, but we're not dead yet. And we can still incorporate those into our lives. Like, imagine if you went to the piano and just started smashing out a song.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard. I feel like there's just so much in the way that I can't. So I played the piano today.
Oh, you did?
While my dad was out. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It was all right. But that thing about, like, we're not dead yet, it makes me think, like, you know, in 5 years, aren't we going to be glad that we came across this idea now and, like, started to change it? And I think, like, my parents are 58, 60, and I don't know what their situation is with creativity or whatever. Like, I don't know. but like whatever, or how much they've grown since they passed those things on to me either. But like, I don't want to pass them on to somebody else.
Yeah.
And so by fixing whatever came my way, I don't know. I wonder, like, what is I've been thinking about this and I don't know the answer. The significance of, like, naming what was wrong. I feel a need to do it, but I wonder if it's necessary.
I have thoughts about that, for sure. You mean in the sense of, like, doing a lot of thinking and...
Well, to be able to, like, put your finger on something and say, this is why I am the way that I am, and now I have this sense that, like, being able to do that will free me.
I have a thought about that. Let me try and gather it. I'm gonna explain what I'm thinking.
Okay.
When I did this internship many moons ago, and one of the things that I had to research was the Truth and Reconciliation Commission of Canada. So the commission set up to gather stories from Indigenous people about their experiences with the residential school system and colonization. And so it led me to a lot of reading about forgiveness and, well, you know, reconciliation and what does that mean? And a lot, like, so much of what I was reading was saying, in order to move past something, you have to name what it is. Like, in order for, you know, say somebody apologizes to you, in order for that to do anything, they have to know what they're apologizing for. Basically, it was like the very first thing that we have to do is air our grievances. Like, we have to, like, we have to put the finger on, like, what was it? What happened to us? What did, you know, Canada, you know, as a concept, but like the people do to Aboriginal people, and what impact has it had on them? And only once you all acknowledge and recognize what happened can you start to take the steps to move forward and heal, basically. And I just want to be very, very clear. I in no way mean to minimize the Indigenous experience in Canada by comparing it to like an individual experience of, you know, parents being a little bit difficult, maybe. I just want to, I'm using it as an illustration, not as a comparison, I guess I just want to say.
Okay.
So that really taught me, like, step one is put the finger on what went wrong. Because if you don't know what happened to you, you don't know what your experience was, you can't analyze it, you can't come to terms with it, you can't move on from it. At least that's, you know, that's my opinion, I guess. This is my opinion. That's another meme that you might not have seen.
Is it the lady yelling at the cat?
The screaming lady, yeah.
She's yelling at the cat with the salad?
That's one iteration of the meme. The original is her screaming at her co-host on a TV show.
Oh, okay. I can't believe I got that one at least half.
You did. So I don't think, like, a lot of the times, I think one of our impulses is to be like, oh, well, I shouldn't be dwelling on what happened to me. I should be moving on. But I think you have to understand what happened to you in order to move on, or at least come to some sort of conclusion. And that involves a lot of thinking back and a lot of, you know, like, what actually happened.
Right. Because I feel like there's, like, stages of revelation. Because I feel like I wouldn't be telling the same story about myself. Like, I used to just say that I was a bad kid.
Yeah.
And, like...
Same.
You know, like, was that true? You know, like, no.
Yeah.
Like, it you know, it was so much more complex, and there was a lot of pressures.
Yeah.
And I recently realized that... Because, okay, so when I lived in the apartment, I had this sort of psychological experience of spontaneous, extremely violent fantasies.
Totally.
So I realized recently that actually goes back a really long way. Like, that was, you know, my reality when I was a teenager. And, like, it was a reaction to what felt like unliftable control.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's interesting because that's exactly what the apartment was, too. It was like, I had no autonomy. I had no,
you
just
were
sort
stuck,
of
completely stuck and out of, you didn't have control over your own situation.
Yeah, and, like, being able to, like, I don't know, just make your own choices is a really important part of being, a human, I think. Like, being able to have some agency is really important for mental health. And I think, that sort of allowing that to come up and, like, keep reflecting on, I guess, the things that have happened in my life and, like, in a person's life in general is, like, it's a really powerful thing because you realize new things as you grow up, I guess.
Yeah, like when we're younger, the story that we tell ourselves about ourselves are a child's perspective, which I'm not saying it's wrong, but they're not always accurate. Like, I also thought I was a bad kid for a lot of reasons. And as I've grown up, I've realized actually a parent that I had was pretty fucking shitty. And it wasn't me. Mm-hmm. And so we have to keep sort of like going over and revising and thinking about what our story is and what happened.
Which kind of makes me think of that thing you said from your therapist about like having compassion for yourself. Like we can, as you develop compassion, Yeah. So I guess looking back, I don't know. Yeah.
Because like when you're a kid, I feel like when you're a kid, you think everything is your fault.
Mm-hmm. Totally. Oh my God. Like when that stays with me because like the other day my mom left for vacation and I was like, what did I do wrong?
Yeah. Okay. So have you seen the movie Good Boys?
No. Is it about puppies?
Right. Okay. No. Yeah. What?
Is it about puppies?
No, it's about these 3 like 11-year-old or 12-year-old boys. And one of the lines that made me laugh so hard was this one kid was like, my parents are getting a divorce. And the other kid's like, what did you do? It's such a good movie. Highly recommend. It's really funny. But yeah, totally. Like when you're a kid, it's like, what did I do? Like,
totally. And like, it's not just what did I do, but I was like, today I walked out and I saw a pop can out on the deck that I had left by accident, which I had actually misplaced and looked for frantically for like 20 minutes and I couldn't find it, and then I found it today. And I was like, is that why she left? Or I look at the bathroom sink and I'm like, this is dirty and I haven't cleaned it in 4 months. Is that why she left? Like...
Yeah, we still do that.
Yeah.
For sure. And it's a habit that is helpful to try to get out of, for sure.
Yeah, because I think like it's funny because I kind of remind myself how, I don't want to say arrogant, but it's like how self-centered it is to think that everything is my fault, like or that I like if I can't show up for somebody's birthday party that like I'm gonna ruin the birthday party because
or like you show up somewhere and you're like, oh my God, there's a stain on my shirt, everybody's gonna think I'm so disgusting, and like nobody fucking notices, nobody gives a shit.
Yeah.
Which is so freeing.
Yeah. It's just such a funny thing.
I love that talk. That was great.
I feel like I'm not sure how much of the parent stuff is good.
No.
I know.
It's so good.
But also it's not creative.
I think it does have to do with creativity, because I think like the connection is when you don't trust your own feelings and you don't have like a validation of your reality. There's no expression of that. There's no permission to express that. And that's where I think you got stymied. You couldn't bang out a song on the piano and sing and scream about your teenage love because your teenage love wasn't legitimate according to other people.
Totally.
I think it's totally irrelevant.
Oof.
Yeah, big stuff.
Yeah, I think like as it relates to the tapestry, and there's this like sections of like, I call it a tapestry as if it's this fucking huge grand thing.
It is a tapestry.
It is.
It's a mini tap.
But it reminds me of like in The Artist's Way, there's lists where she asks, what are some things that you love but don't do, or like there's one section, I feel like I've probably said it before, but where she's like, find 5 rocks that you like and like put them in your pocket or something.
Yeah.
And that's what the embroidery reminded me of, sort of, was like, this is like my own taste. It was like I was picking colors and I was picking them just because I liked them, not because I found I just put them together and I was like, that makes me feel not happy, or like that makes me feel not quite bright, or like that feels.
It's interesting, like thinking about. Oh, I don't know if I can put this into words. Maybe I'll just pack that away for later.
What?
I was thinking about how we make decisions with what we're making, how we feel about what we're doing, and how that guides, like for example, when I'm making earrings and I'm choosing colors, I'll put two together and I'll be like, ugh, or I'll be like, yes, and it'll just be like a gut feeling, and how it's so like fun and satisfying to let your gut sort of guide what you do. Yeah. Creatively.
Because like when else do you get to do that almost?
Yeah. And I think it helps you to get in touch with what you like and what you feel, and like your physical reactions to things, and like I think it forges like a mind-body connection kind of, which is really cool.
Totally.
Like my marker for like whether I like what I'm doing is, does that look juicy and delicious, or does that look like I wouldn't want to eat it? I don't know what it is about color and like this like active consumption for me, where it's like if I really like colors, my brain and my body is like, eat it, eat it. I don't know what the hell is
I wonder if that has me. Like an evolutionary root in like finding
berries, like colorful berries and stuff. That's really funny. God. Yeah.
My dad got home, so now I'm feeling like...
are you in the carpeted room, or are you in the tin can?
I am, which is their room.
Oh, okay. Nice.
So
he's going to come home and you're going to be like crouching in his closet, and he's going to be like, Jess?
Get out. So did you sketch when you were gone, or did you just read?
No, I didn't. I just read.
But you found some interesting things while you were gone. I feel like there's this really big thing in the artist way about refilling your well, which we've talked about before, but it seems like...
Okay, I have an idea.
Okay.
Okay, I just totally bombarded you, but I think I know what you were going to say.
Okay.
Like refilling your image as well? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay, so I took a shit ton of pictures, and I sent some to you, I think?
Yeah.
Because I went to 3 different antique stores.
I did not see your antique stores unless
Jess.
Unless that was the children's drawings
no.
on the wood.
Okay, so I had a really, really like rich week, I would say, in terms of images.
Okay.
I went to, well, it was like a thrift store and then 2 antique stores in Almont. And I took so many wonderful pictures, and I really would like to share some of them on Instagram, maybe like we could make a separate post. I don't know. Okay, so here is a little figurine of a rabbit in aerobics gear.
Oh my god.
Lying on its back and sticking its legs up into the air. Like, what the hell is that? For $35. And, like...
Are you sending it to me, or are you just going to talk about it?
No, I mean, yeah, okay, wait, I'll send it to you right now. One sec. Like, what the hell? There are more things in heaven and earth. There. Okay, and then a set of, like, mugs that I'm going to send you right now. They're flamingos, and they're wearing sunglasses and flip-flops, and they're just, perfection.
Wow. That's hand-painted if I ever saw.
Yeah. I'm just going to barrage you with some things that I saw, and I just couldn't help but take pictures because they were so, like,
okay, that
rich.
Ken doll is wearing something that you would wear.
He's wearing
Where did
bright
Ken get your
lime
outfit?
green bike shorts and a gold mesh crop top. So yes, I would wear that. Sun Sensation Barbie.
Wow.
I took so many pictures, and...
Like, it just feels so good to see unusual things.
Exactly.
Like, we forget that, like, there's a whole world, outside of our homes because of pandemic.
Exactly. And so many, like, beautiful, interesting, weird things. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
It was just so fun. And so those are the highlights that I just sent you. And I feel like that was, like, the perfect artist's date. Was just, like, walking around these thrift stores and just, like, finding basically treasures, just enjoying observing all these little treasures. And I would love to share some of these ridiculous things on Instagram.
Okay. Let's do it.
Okay. But what was I going to say? I don't quite recall. I'm like out of breath.
That was just so exciting.
I got so excited about these photos that I'm like, I can't breathe. Okay, so also here's a giant hound dog.
Oh my god, how big?
It's so big. It's like waist high.
Oh my god. That's bigger than the actual dog that it is.
Yeah.
That's like bigger than life size.
Yeah. It's so big.
Wow.
Yeah, I think that was my week because I didn't do a ton of creative expression, but I totally took in a lot.
That's so special.
Yeah, like refilling my well so that when I go to create again, I have like new thoughts, new images in my head.
I think something that's really cool about this is like this is the expression of other artists. Like someone else thought this was a good idea and it turned out so strange.
Totally. It's like this like kitsch stuff is just so fascinating. I think I love it. I'm pretty sure I love it.
It seems like you love it.
Yeah. Tiny little perfume samples. I bought one.
Oh my god. Kate, in The Artist's Way, she has this thing. She says, it's towards the end, and she's talking about, like, you let yourself buy the vintage bottle because it lets you write about Paris in the 30s.
Yeah.
And that is such a luscious idea. Like, it's like a creative investment or whatever in, like, letting yourself do stuff. Is that deer eating that baby deer?
No. I don't know. I think they just had to be connected somewhere, and they're connected at the head.
Cool.
Yeah.
Wow. That's so wonderful. I really miss that about,
about the world. I know. Yeah. I know. And it came with like, I was like, I need to get out. I need to go do something. And it came with this guilt of like, I should be staying home. I don't know. It's weird. Ontario's in phase 3 where things are open and it's weird. We're allowed to go out, but it feels like, should we?
Right. Like, can we trust that the government has our health in interest and not just
or are they
economy?
Just trying to pump up the economy? Exactly.
Yeah.
Not sure. Never sure.
Definitely scary. I definitely feel like, because we kind of talked at the beginning of the episode, but it kind of feels like a lot of people are just living their mostly regular lives. And I think there's also a thing that says like, well, if everyone else is living their mostly regular life, then like, why am I
depriving myself?
Totally. Like, and really depriving yourself, like, of a regular life. Oof. But that sounds like that outing was a really positive one.
Yeah, it was great. And then I think it would be really lovely if I could share this little drawing of the rat.
What rat?
So my family, my parents are...
The kid's picture? I'm
pretty sure it's a rat. My family are rehabilitating an old stone house that's been in my family since like 18 something. And the workers are like basically gutting the inside, and they found this board of wood that a child drew on before they used it to build the house, and there's a drawing of a rat.
Or while it was built in the house.
Yeah. Or they just drew on the wall. Who knows? Yeah. Shitty kids. And a bird.
Yes.
Did I show you the bird?
These lovely ones. You sent me both of them, but I did not identify that at first as a rat. But now that I see on it, does it say rap? Rap?
I don't know. It says like
rap?
K-A-P. But look at the tail and look at the lines on the tail. I think, and my mom, I asked my mom and she said like, there were a lot of rats at that time, like in the basement and that kind of thing. And she thinks it's a rat. And I'm inclined to believe her.
Long, skinny tail, tiny little ears, big feet. Socks on. Socks on?
Question mark? Not sure.
Yeah. But like there's a lot of perspective in this drawing. Like you can definitely tell that which are the legs that are further away from the viewer.
Exactly. It's like really well done. It's like the natural talent of some kid in like 1912 or something.
Totally. And I think what's really interesting is like that's your family.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, was that your like great grandma or something?
It was. So it was like a different branch. So it was my great aunt or something.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And now the house is ours, and we're finding all these like old perfume bottles and just full of treasures. Lots of raccoon poo, and then also lots of treasures.
Who's to say what is and isn't treasure?
One man's raccoon poo is another man's treasure.
That's right. It's so cool.
So that was my week. Mm-hmm. It is really cool. I'm having like all these tendrils of my life reach into the past lately.
What do you mean?
Well, we found
Okay.
a guest book from 1915.
Whoa.
And it's full of anyone who visited the house, signed their name and wrote like a little note.
Aw.
And it's in this like, everything is in this beautiful cursive writing.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. And there are some really fun notes, like, let me just try to find one that's funny. Jack Cram, very much taken with the soup, stayed for dinner but did not work in the afternoon. And then there was just like some sweet notes, like a most enjoyable outing and a perfect day. A good day, a good crowd, good tennis, good grub, and goody goods ought to satisfy the most fastidious, and we can't be called that. We came to have a good time, and we sure had it.
Aw.
Isn't that cute? 1915.
Wow.
And then there was one that was really funny. A very, very disagreeable day. And then, well, I'm back here again and picked more berries. Great place to live. Okay, this is another one. This is a great place. After picking some raspberries, I was allowed some bacon and eggs for my dinner.
That's I feel like that sense of sort of humor, I don't know. It seems very present in older like people. Like I feel like that.
Like this.
I don't know.
Everyone had heaps to eat, including the mosquitoes. How cute is that?
So cute.
Oh, there's just one more that I really want to find. Okay, this one says, a beautiful day, and the hostess is pleasant to the eye. How wonderful is that? And it's like, this is my family from like 100 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. So weird.
That's really a precious thing. Like, so strange and so particularly personal.
Yeah.
And
like, I don't know if I've like processed it yet. It's kind of weird to like be confronted with the fact that the past isn't just a movie. Like, it actually happened. Like, these were real people. It's kind of a strange time warp in my head, but
totally like real people who like picked raspberries and then had bacon and eggs for dinner.
Yeah.
Served by what I assume is a hot lady.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And like when she read it, she probably laughed.
Yeah.
You know?
Or she was like, oh, that's creepy Uncle Jack again. Or
yeah, ew, there he goes.
Yeah.
That reminds me of that thing of stories that we talked about a couple episodes ago with like looking back into at photos and like wishing that there was some history written.
Yeah.
And like actually seeing the history and how enchanting it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's really special.
Yeah. It's interesting. So you have a whole bunch of photos with no writing.
Yeah.
And I have a bunch of writing with no photos.
Oh my god.
Yeah. All these different ways of experiencing
the past.
Wild.
That's really cool.
It's just so strange that we're going to be living in this house that my family lived in when they came to Canada. And like built with their own hands and feet.
And feet.
They like put their
back into it.
Put their back into it? No, I was going to say blood, sweat, and tears. But maybe they also put their back into it. Into building this house, and we're going to live in it. How weird. Like,
kinda
it's going to be the
into a
same
circle.
stones in our walls that they put together. Yeah, it's like a big circle. It's weird, 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 weird.
It's like reconnecting with the history.
And it's
so
weird
cool.
to think, like, it's especially weird to think, you know, my family came from Scotland at a time where the government was saying, like, if you come over, we'll give you a plot of land and farm it. And so my family was like, okay, sure. Like, we're like teachers and stuff, but I guess we'll farm.
Yeah.
And so they came over, and it's like, well, whose land was that? Like, it wasn't,
Right.
you know, like, it's the fucking, like, reality of colonization is like the history of my family. It's so weird.
That's so interesting and strange.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I don't know what to say about it. It's just like, I guess I've been like thinking a lot about the history of Canada lately. Yeah.
It's a big
one.
That's a big one, yeah.
Yeah, it's a biggie. Biggie, biggie, biggie. What?
How does that song go? Biggie, 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 you're so...
What? I don't know.
Go? You hypnotize me. Okay, I'm sending that to you later. I'll find it.
I don't know that song.
Are you looking it up right now?
Biggie Smalls Hypnotize?
Yes.
Okay, I do know this song.
Biggie, biggie.
Yeah. Sometimes your words just hypnotize me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, on that note.
On that note.
Okay.
Good talk.
Good talk.
Should we talk about like what do we want to do next week?
Oh,
what's on our plates?
Truly. I don't really have anything.
Okay. I think that's totally legit. Keep riding that wave of just like recovering from doing work every single day for the past 3 years.
Like, you never know what will come up too. Like,
yeah.
And I think it's kind of fun that the podcast makes me do something interesting that I can talk about. So
It's a nice little kick in the pants.
Yep.
I'm going to finish reading The Art of Asking by Amanda Palmer, and I'm going to put my thoughts together on it because I have some thoughts.
Okay. I cannot
thoughts
wait.
And feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. And I want to finish those 2 paintings that I started last week, the candles and the field and the sky that we posted for episode 10.
Cool. I mean, like, don't make yourself do it if it doesn't feel right. That's okay.
I want to at least try. And if I ruin the paintings, that's fine. They'll be ruined and that's fine. Because they're just...
I guess I want to say thank you, everyone who sent us a message about, like, getting an art on.
They're so wonderful to read.
So fun, and it's so fun to see pictures. Mm-hmm. My friend Carly made a clock, and it's beautiful.
Yes,
and
it's cool to see like all the different things that people are doing.
Yeah,
like drawing, painting,
writing, everything,
writing, music. That clock, which is just wild. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been
so cool.
So keep sharing. DM us or comment on the Instagram thing because we love to see it.
And I guess we have an Instagram, which we said at the beginning, but if you want to see pictures from this episode, you can find them on Instagram at arthorsepod. You can send us an email at arthorsepod@gmail.com. And if you are enjoying this podcast, we would love it if you would give us a rating and review. 5 stars only, please. Yeah. If it's less than 5 stars... 4-star bullshit. Less than 5 stars and we'll come find you. That's not what I was going to say, but... What were you going to say? I don't know. Don't tell us. Don't rate. Exactly. If you don't like it, don't tell us because it'll just hurt our feelings. That sounds about right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, beach. Cool. See you next week. Okay. I was just gonna say, okay, I love you, bye. That's cute. Yeah. Do you remember that episode where it was like, are we hanging up? Yeah. You hung up and I didn't, and I was like, that would be hello? Like me being like, I love you too, and then you're gone. Okay. Okay, bye. Okay, bye.